All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my homebrew D&D campaigns set in my weird, messed up homebrew D&D campaign setting, and the people below me are the people that I assume have some kind of, like, brain just died in the middle of that joke.
We want to be here. Shut up.
Have you ever had your train of thought derail so bad that the train just doesn't exist anymore?
Your inner demon's imposter syndrome went, oh shit, what? Sorry, what? What? Oh shit, right. Yeah, no one wants to be here. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My brain isn't working right now. And that's okay. So, announcements. Damn. I need to wipe my eyes. That was bad enough that I sweated into my eyes. Hold,
It's
please.
called crying to some people.
No, like,
No, I know.
I do cry. Like, that's a thing that I do on a regular basis. But I also do this weird thing where my eyes will just start burning for no reason. And I realize it's because I'll sweat into my eyes. And it's not fun. All right. And those little white things have aloe vera on them. And it's nice on your eyeballs. So, announcements. Not a whole lot of shit's going on right now. I'm daily vlogging now. I'm a daily vlogger. Today's video was about... Oh, has anyone here seen the first episode of Delicious in Dungeon? And that's D&D related. It's a
I
new
heard
anime.
it. I keep meaning to watch it.
It's a new anime on Netflix that I enjoy, but like the whole premise is basically these adventurers are trying to make their way through a dungeon, RPG style, and they don't have enough money for food and stuff like that. So instead of like selling off their gear to be able to get food, they decide to kill and eat the monsters. And that's the premise. And everyone's like, "Oh, you can't eat monsters; it's gross." And they start finding out, "Oh, they're delicious." And it's an interesting idea, but the main character, I don't know if it was a translation choice, if it's this way in the original Japanese, if it was the voice director, if it was the actor themselves, but when they talk about eating monsters, it's very sensual.
Oh, unique word choices.
It's weird. Like, this person is like fetishizing eating monsters, and it feels weird. Like the rest of the show is great. I really like it, but he'll talk about eating monsters like he's eating those monsters, and they're eating him back, and it's weird. It's a cool show. I'm gonna watch. The next episode drops tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna watch at least a few episodes. But if this is going to be the theme for the entire thing, where every other character is completely normal and this dude just wants to do something to the food that he's eating, then that may be the thing that makes me stop watching. And it may just be the first episode. It may be bad translation or something like that. I don't know. But I made a video talking about how uncomfortable it makes me for my daily vlog today. And it's upsetting because it's a really cool movie or show. I think it's great. Also, there is a subgenre of anime that's all like about the characters are in an RPG or an MMO. And I'm so there for it.
Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online, Log Horizon, Bofuri. This one time I got reincarnated as a slime. What is it? Is it rude to try and pick up girls in a dungeon? Like it is an entire subgenre of Japanese.
There's subgenres
anime.
about everything. Slice of life.
Lit RPG.
Is that another one? I haven't seen that one.
No, it's a genre of books
Oh,
where they're all about like the main character and they're very like here's a magic system. The thing that bothers me about them though is they're like sometimes they'll have dice rolls in it, and I'm
really?
like, that's just stupid because you're deciding what the dice is going to be. The dice is supposed to add chance. You're faking the chance. I don't know.
Unless you're recording what the actual roll was at the time when you wrote
Unless
it.
you're using rolls, but yeah.
Anyway, I
Anyway,
really enjoy like the first half of season 1 of Sword Art Online. Great show. Everything after that, the first half of season 1 was really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Bofuri is one of my favorite shows ever. It is amazing because it's all about this girl that joins an MMO that she doesn't understand, accidentally allocates her stat points wrong, and just mistakes her way into being one of the most powerful characters in the game by just failing over and over. It is the greatest thing ever. What?
Shout out the things I like. Uh, Dropout TV, new season, Fantasy High,
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
junior year.
Isn't what is it? Is Dropout the one with Brennan Lee Mulligan?
Brennan Lee Mulligan, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I was about to say I thought that Brennan was doing something new, and I think that's the Dropout thing.
Yeah. Dropout.tv.
Very cool. And theoretically, we're getting one D&D, which is just D&D 5.5, folks. Stop freaking out about it. Theoretically, that should be coming this year. But somebody got
huzzah.
real mad when the image was leaked of the release date. When it wasn't really leaked, they just put up the wrong PowerPoint presentation.
We've also said ad nauseum when they were. It's always been. They,
Well, apparently, like during the initial announcement, somebody put up a thing that had the artwork and it had a release date, I think, of like May 26th. And apparently, the artwork they were supposed, or the slide they were supposed to put up there was just the artwork and coming soon. And so somebody at Wizards of the Coast screwed up and accidentally showed, and they immediately corrected it, deleted that picture from all of their social media accounts. But the damage was done, and everyone's like, "Oh, we found this insider leak." And I'm like, "No, it was somebody that put the wrong PowerPoint present. This is not a leak. We need to stop."
also, it's not
Considering
an
everything
insider
a
leak.
leak.
That's not an insider leak. That's not how it works. God damn it.
I am so over anonymous insiders. Like at this point, it's like, no, if you're going to tell me that, well, we have this person on the inside that can't say who they are, and we won't let you hear what they say, but we will tell you what we say that they said about this thing, and you have to totally believe us that this is completely legit, despite the fact that we have blatantly lied to you like 7 times before this. But this time we're telling you the truth. I'm done.
It's not anything new. I hate it. Like, you and I know that because, according to a reliable source.
Yep, I'm done with reliable sources. I'm done with anonymous insiders. Or so, according to someone familiar with the matter. It's another one that I'm just like, nope, we're done. It's made up nonsense. You're lying.
Even for bullshit, that was a stretch.
Ah, man, that I don't know. Like the most I've heard that particular phrase is generally when it's talking about something to do with the White House, because something will happen, and they go according to sources familiar with the matter, blah blah, and it generally means somebody heard something somewhere and telephoned at us. It went through like Jimmy said, Billy said, Mandy said that, Sven said that, you know, uh, that he fainted at 31 Flavors last night. The joys. Also, here's another term that a lot of people are not familiar with. Back at the turn of the 20th century, newspapers were accused of this thing called yellow journalism, which is basically the newspapers just lying blatantly to make more interesting stories.
Mm.
So the press being untruthful is not a new experience. They've just found different ways to do it. Cool. So, anything else happening in the D&D world? If for those of you who don't know, MCDM Matt Colville launched a backer kit for to basically finalize the RPG that he's been working on apparently for like a year or two now. And they raised like 4.3 or 4.4 million dollars.
4.6.
4.6. Thank you. They raised a crazy amount of money for it. I am one of the backers.
30,000 backers.
Yeah, I am one of the backers. I want to see the final product of this because it looks awesome. So, yeah, hopefully that he claimed that backers that got digital stuff might have something to look at as early as this summer. And then physical stuff is probably going to take at least a year because printing and all that nonsense is a pain in the ass.
Let Dale Kingsmill name your system.
Yes, Dale needs to name the system. So yeah, super excited about that. There's a bunch of other stuff that's going on. For the people that remember the Fabula Ultima campaign, the creator has just released a new playtest packet that has some revisions for the core rulebook, some changes to the Arcanist, and some other stuff that's going on. So that's really exciting. We're hopefully going to be getting a new expansion to that because it's already been released in Italian, and apparently translating games where a single word can change the entire game from one language to another takes time. I know, weird, right? So, yeah, lots of cool stuff happening in the tabletop RPG world. Break the RPG seems to be getting closer and closer to having a published copy. Break is another kind of JRPG Miyazaki inspired RPG where one of the classes is you are just a shopkeeper or just a normal person that just happened to join an adventuring party, and one of the features of that class, it's called the Factotum, one of the features of that class is you have a backpack. And later on, as you level up, you can turn the backpack into a shield, or you could use it as a weapon to beat people with. It is the coolest thing ever. So you have all these people, like you have Battle Princess and Murder Princess and Rogue and all these like fantasy, and then you have Factotum, which is just, I was cooking one day and decided to go adventuring. And it's the greatest thing ever. Yeah, you have Dave. That's
Samwise Gamgee actually becomes the adventurer full-fledged.
Yep. There was new footage for this game Dragon's Dogma 2, and it's all multiplayer footage, and you can see the characters' names above each of the characters as they're playing. And so you have things like Ralstaff and Gwenvar, and then one of the characters' name is just Greg. See, Ralstaff, over here, slay this mighty giant. Vengar, do this. Greg, can you get over here, please? Greg, what are you doing? Greg. And in one scene, they're fighting a Cyclops, and Greg has like climbed on the Cyclops because that's what you do in Dragon's Dogma, and it just yeets him off, like launches him like 50 feet in the air. And you just, the scene that you're watching is just, you watch Greg just go, phew, and you go, oh, damn, where'd Greg go?
That was a premise in one of the Dropout. Speaking of Dropout, the Adventuring Academy, they would talk about how dealing with games like that, where you have like these heroes are the chosen ones, but in real life takes place and someone has to leave the game and someone new comes in. It's like, so these are the chosen ones, and this is Dave.
I would love to see a sitcom or something where it's just an adventuring party with a bunch of like Lord of the Rings characters, and then just a random dude going, "What? We're gonna fight a dragon? Who fights dragons? Is it coming to attack us? No? Then what are we? Why? It can eat us? I guess this is a thing." Or like walking through something and then steps on like, or gets trapped in a gelatinous cube. Are you telling me there's invisible jello that's going to eat me and we just never know it's going to be there until we're inside it? Why is this a thing? How did this evolve?
That's the whole premise for it's like adventurers do not make sound decisions. The villagers running away in fear, that's a valid decision. That's a valid choice mentally. No, it's not a valid choice mentally. I'm gonna ride it.
Right.
Okay, so the next campaign I'm running will be exactly that. Every character but one will be a normal D&D character, and we're just going to have one dude named, like, Phil, and he's going to try and be the voice of reason for the murder hobos.
I was just gonna say, can he have a homebrew feat called the Voice of Reason?
Yes, absolutely.
It's kind of why I like Earth Dawn's magic system, where like when characters hit puberty, that's kind of when you discover if you're magic or not, and only like 1% of people ever get a character class. But most of those people that do have the potential still have the mindset of non-magical people. So adventurers are super fucking rare.
So, you guys want to deal with your crazy mansion where it looks like they eat people? So I think that's going super well, right?
I mean,
And an asshole dumped a bag of snakes on us. But apparently, like, man, it's like we're at this point we're level 17, and apparently, like, fireballs, fucking finger of death, all that shit. Apparently, all you got to do is just have poison cloud snakes, and just gonna just fuck you up for a bit.
I say this constantly because everyone says, yeah, D&D after level 12 is broken, or D&D after level 11 is broken. It's not. You have to understand that how you challenge your players changes when they get to tier 3 and tier 4. And tier 4, how you challenge your players is poo gas and snakes made out of body parts. Like, that's like every good DM understands that.
Another way to fuck with them is also like, oh, you're not in danger. This person's in danger.
Mm-hmm. So, with that being said,
hey, level 20, keep the candle lit. Have fun.
yes, that candle goes out, you're all dead. But it's just a candle? Yep, just a candle. Can I make my own candle? Nope. I think it's time for us to return to the legend of the Three Kingdoms. The party has vanquished a group of mighty foes. After exploring a mansion seemingly abandoned, they found themselves in a butcher area that didn't seem to be butchering any animals. While they were there, Argenta, having been separated from the party, found a room that seemed to have candlelight recently extinguished. After exploring, she returned to the party where they were all accosted by strange necromantic snakes created from various body parts, thrown on them by a figure that none of them were able to see extremely clearly. Now, all of that has been dealt with, and the party must decide whether to leave this house of horrors or try to discover the identity of their would-be assassin. So, since it's been well over a month since we last played,
It's been.
to kind of bring us all back, if I remember correctly, the last time we played, I dropped the weird sinew snakes on you. And after it was all done, you guys looked up and somebody said, shit, and closed the thing. And that's where I think we ended last time, right?
Yeah. Remember sounding like Boris Karloff?
Yeah. So, what would
Or
you
maybe
like to do?
Hank Azaria doing Boris Karloff if you're Jody.
Oh, shit. So yeah, you guys, the bodies of these strange monstrosities are dead, but they're still kind of writhing slightly as the last of this necromantic energy kind of leaves them. And again, the room itself, other than these slightly withering cuckoo corpses, is still kind of dead silent. So, what would y'all like to do?
Well, first thing I'm going to notice is that our names are wrong.
Absolutely, I totally.
I glance down. I'm like, the fuck? Okay, so I'm Vala. So I've got
Fire. That's all you have.
No, I have 80 tents now. I have 80 tents on my pack. I can only move like 5 feet in a turn.
They're magical tents.
You have all the tents. You have cornered the market. Like Vala, a lot of people don't realize Vala is a very shrewd businesswoman, and she decided to corner the tent market. She bought all of them for a low price and then just jacked up the price like insulin. And
drunkenly ordering 20, 80, 100 tents and then not remembering it doesn't make them magic.
I actually have a portal to I can access the elemental plane of tents.
I'm just imagining it's the tent version of Spatula City. Spatula City.
Look, when you've burned down as many homes as Vala has,
it's just handy to have some tents for the now refugees. They weren't refugees when you started saving them. They are now.
it's like Tony Stark and disaster management or whatever his the company he has to clean up the superhero mess.
Vala is single-handedly creating her own immigration crisis. Yes. What is your reason for claiming asylum? Vala. Oh, check. You're in. No hearing needed whatsoever. We know.
And strangely, I'm just looking at. I have all of these like level 7 and level 8 spell slots. It's amazing.
Thought we said that. I thought we'd all agreed that level 7 spell slots didn't exist.
That's right. They're like those fruity jazz bands. Yeah, some bands, they know 4, 5, even 6 chords. Yeah, that's just fruity jazz bands.
Rowan used a 9th level spell slot, but Val goes, no, he didn't.
Sorry, I am a jazz musician, and that is so freaking accurate.
Thank you, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Wait a minute. There's more than 3 chords? Nah, just jazz. Another show that I still need to watch. So, what do you guys actually want to do? There's dead things around you that are becoming more dead by the moment, which sounds like an oxymoron, but it's not.
Well, I think we actually have exhausted the entire. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we exhausted the entirety of the basement level because there was the unhallowed room.
You are technically on the ground floor. You guys, like the butcher area is actually on the ground floor. The servants' quarters and stuff where you guys came from and got all, where that room is actually on the 2nd floor, and then. Really?
No, thank you, person in chat. You're not really a person. You're a bot.
And now you're banned. Cool. I don't know, guys. I feel really bad. We could have had millions of viewers if I had just paid them. Anyway, those of you watching on YouTube, you know. So yeah, the butcher place is actually in kind of a corner on the ground level. You guys, thus far, you guys haven't found a basement here, and then the room where that dude was that dropped the snakes on you is on the 2nd floor, and then the servants' quarters is actually on the 3rd floor. But yes, you've exhausted this part of the ground floor. There is
this level.
there's another half that you guys have never, like, you guys went to the
Okay.
east and you guys have just never checked the west thus far.
Okay. Well, regardless, I think we need to get out of here. So I guess the question is, do we go after that person?
I mean,
I would like to go west.
at some point, I would like to go after that person. He dropped snakes on me. It had to be snakes. Also, it feels like a very long time since I've lit something on fire, so
Yes, I've been noticing you scratching yourself. And Relwyn is currently contemplating if he should heal himself because he's actually the person who got jacked up the most from that whole encounter from last year.
I mean, I'm also a little light on the spell slots.
How are you doing health point wise?
On a scale of 148, I'm at about a 62.
Well, I'm 49.
Hey, I actually could bring somebody back from the dead.
If you guys would like to take a short rest, you can go that route. But I don't know if you want to take a short rest here.
Probably not in this specific room.
On a scale of 199, I'm at 152.
My God.
And for some odd reason, Liliane seems very quiet and will probably remain very quiet for at least
Well,
the next few
regardless, so
hours.
I will definitely
Yeah.
think at least one mass cure wounds will be in order. So do that. 5th level. Really? Okay, great. 11 points.
Hey.
I feel much better. Well, I believe there's the door. We could try that. And if we can find a corner, I can set up a little. I can set up a very small, some would even say tiny hut. That would allow us some protection.
Well, do we want to do that, or do we want to try at least track down the person who's...
I mean, I don't want to give him a ton of time to prepare, but if we want to take a short rest, or do we just want to keep going?
Well,
I feel like
out
we've been
out
fighting
of
for a
out of
while.
game. Let's take in context that a short rest is an hour. Do we want to give this person an hour?
That's true. I will follow your lead.
Relwyn's not a tracker, and currently our tracker is like on autofollow.
Well,
Or no, sorry,
I-
Argento can also.
Yeah. The thing about it is that we have to get out of this room. Sergeant is going to look
Right.
at the east since we haven't checked that out yet.
Okay. So, the room that you're in right now, you have the little area, the kind of desecrated area to the north. To the east is just a wall, effectively. The door that you guys came in when you first started exploring is to the west, and that one is currently locked, as far as you can tell. It's not opening. So those are the only exits from this room. And obviously, the roof can open, but the mechanisms for doing that are on higher floors.
So the door is locked.
As far as you can tell, it's not opening. You don't really see a locking mechanism per se on it. It's just currently not opening.
All right, I'll try and kick it down.
Okay, go ahead and make me an athletics check.
I'll give you guidance.
Sure. E4. So plus 15 makes that a 28.
So you guys watch Argenta kind of go up to the door and just kind of look at it, try and force it, and you can feel the door still moves a little bit, but it's easier to move towards the bottom than it is to the top. So Argenta steps back a little bit, does a full-on Spartan kick, and the top of the door does not move. The bottom of the door splinters and shatters. And Argenta, if you take the time to kind of explore a little bit, it seems that there is a metal bar that has basically been extended from an upper floor into the door to stop it from opening. But it only goes partway into the top of the door, and you just shattered the rest. It was a good door, too. Like, this was a nice, really sturdy wooden door that you just destroyed.
You know, just kind of happens. You have to replace doors every once in a while. She'll crawl under it.
Okay. And again, kind of on the other side of the door, like on the side of the kind of butcher's room, the door looks like just kind of partially treated wood. But when you get to the other side, it's this really nice, gorgeous carved wooden door, or at least half of it is. The other half is really gorgeous carved wooden splinters. And the hallway itself is very nice, very kind of presentable and everything. Like, it is, if it wasn't for the fact that it looks like nobody's been in here for a year, it would be a very, very nice hallway.
Are you guys following?
Yes, I'm right behind you.
Okay.
So eventually you guys find yourselves back in the kind of main foyer, where again you guys have gone up to the second floor and kind of explored the guest chambers on the east side, and you went up to the third floor and explored the servants' quarters, which is the top floor that you can reach from this room. So where would you guys like to go? Like I said, you basically explored the east half of this mansion.
I think we need to go check out the western half. Do we want to start on the third floor and work our way down, or start on the first floor and work our way up?
Let's try working our way up, see what happens.
Okay.
So, starting on the first floor, as you start heading west, you find a kind of familiar-looking hallway, very similar to the one to the east, with a number of rooms on either side, 2 on the left side of the hallway, 3 on the right side of the hallway. But at the end is very, very different. You can see vines and leaves and things that seem to have overgrown into the hallway from a room beyond, but it's so kind of choked and overgrown that you can't really see what is beyond that other than this just kind of wall of foliage. Where would y'all like to go?
Does the foliage smell weird? Like, I know it wasn't the foliage per se itself so much, but there was definitely that really rancid smell that was from. Does it smell similar, or is it?
This particular foliage doesn't have an unpleasant scent, but there is kind of a must to it, like maybe like a mold scent to it. But nothing that smells rancid or decaying or anything like that. If you get close to it, it doesn't have a really powerful smell either. So you do need to get relatively close to kind of smell it. What would y'all like to do? 2 rooms to the left, 3 rooms to the right, and something at the end of the hallway that involves plants.
Vala will take a look at the first room on the right.
Okay. So as you open the room on the right, you are taken aback a little bit as a few things just kind of fall and hit you on the head a little bit. And as you kind of dust yourself off slightly and look through, you can see that this particular room, you think at one point probably had a different purpose, but it's obvious now that it has been used for storage of various accoutrement that don't seem to have any rhyme or reason. Like there's some coat racks in here, and there are crates of various things, and there are shelves that look kind of makeshift created, and piles of various different things. The room itself is relatively spacious, probably about 10 by 13 feet. Decent sized room. Because it's an interior room, there's no windows outside, but you can see a place where it's obvious some kind of lighting fixture either should have hung there or used to hang there and is now just barren. And the walls themselves do have like bookshelves kind of built into them in certain spots that are all filled with junk.
Okay. So I found the tornado room.
Does it look like it was used or just storage?
As far as you can tell, it doesn't look like it was even kind of intentional storage. Like there seems to be no plan as to where, like there's some things that are just in the middle of the floor, and the shelves are not tidy or in any kind of organization. This almost feels like a place when they had something and didn't know what to do with it, they would just kind of toss it in here. But it's obvious from the rest of the room that this probably was meant to be maybe a parlor or maybe an additional guest bedroom or something. Like there's supposed to be a use for this room, and it seems like they just were randomly chucking things in here. If you'd like to do an investigation check, you can see kind of the different stuff that's in here.
That is a 12.
Okay. So it's a lot. Trying to kind of go through and figure out stuff. There are, you're able to find, again, some coat racks for things that your own experience with kind of living in a lap of luxury, you would never be caught dead in any of this. And you don't know anyone with money who would. You find some boxes with some portraits and other things in it. And yeah, there's so much here that it's hard to kind of go through all of it.
But I just get the sense that this is either low quality stuff or tacky.
Again, there's very little rhyme or reason. Like if you tried to quantify any of it, like there's some things, nothing in here looks particularly valuable. Some things look tacky, some things just look kind of forgotten, some things probably have sentimental value, but the only person they would have value to would be the person has some sentiment tied to it, and everyone else would just look at it as junk. Like there's a broken sword in here that if you examine it for any amount of time, you can see the reason that it broke was it was just poorly made. Like you can see the imperfect, what are they called? Forge welds and thing in it, and you can see the metal actually kind of peeling against itself because it wasn't heated to the right temperature or wasn't cooled correctly. And you don't know why anyone would keep that unless there is some sentimental value attached to it. Things like that.
Got it. I'll share that with everyone else.
Okay.
There's that one tub of Beanie Babies that just never panned out for value.
Yeah. It's really sad because you can see like they have the packaging for the like $2,000 one, but it's not in the packaging. And somebody must have taken it out to play with it, and then it got lost, but it could have been worth thousands of dollars.
All right. Should we move on to the next room?
Okay.
Well,
Right or
no,
left?
let's infuriate the DM and keep exploring.
You're
keep
more than
investigating.
welcome to. I've got more.
I've-
12 was not enough to find everything in there. So if you guys want to
It's
keep
just a
exploring, you're
chair.
welcome to.
It's just a chair.
There's more shit in there.
Does the chair have 4 legs?
And I can roll an investigation check. Let's see if I roll higher than a 12.
Okay.
No, that's a 4.
There is a
I'm
trinket
making
table for random
a
shit.
Strength investigation check. It's a 72. I forcefully investigate.
If I could default to strength, I would, but I cannot.
So, continue searching, or do you want to go to another room?
Let's head to another room.
Okay. Left or right?
Right?
Okay. So you go into the second of 3 doors on the right, and this room is significantly more, significantly easier for you to tell what it was used for. It's a there's a table in the center, and on top of the table is a model of the city of Middenwell. That's about half of it is remarkably detailed. And the other half is unpainted and unfinished.
Does it look like it was recently worked on, or is it the same state of gathered dust?
Go ahead and give me I'll let you choose insight or investigation.
I could look inside. So I'm proficient in it.
29.
So, looking it over, you notice that some of the paint has faded with time, and some of the paint has not. It seems to be significantly more recently done. And you do notice bits of kind of, not really sawdust, but scraps of wood from carving and things like that on the table that seem relatively recent. As far as if it was done in the past day versus the past week or something, you're not sure. But it's definitely more recent than most of the stuff that have been touched in the house.
Is this the Beetlejuice miniature of the city?
I mean, not really.
Is there anything significant? Like it seemed like they've been working on that is more detailed, or
From what you can tell, the part of the city that is completed is the lower section of the city, where most people spend most of their time in Middenwell, because getting to the kind of upper aristocratic part, there's a single road that goes up there, and it's controlled pretty heavily.
Can I tell with that roll what was the last thing that was worked on?
Sure, with a 28 insight.
Right. Sorry, but I got to 29.
29. Oh, 29. Oh, then in that case,
Yeah.
no, you can't. The most recent thing worked on, to be honest, is hard to figure, but you do see some scraps and stuff near the mansion that walked away is actually a part of this. And so you can see, it seems that more likely than not, the thing that was worked on most recently was the former mansion.
Oh, so they updated to where the mansion's no longer there?
No, it looks like they were carving the old version of it.
Oh.
So what it looked like before it left. So there is no graveyard in this thing. It is kind of the previous version, the first time you guys came here. And for whatever reason, that seems to be the thing that has been worked on most recently.
quickly add chicken legs to it. No, I'm kidding.
As far as you can tell, no chicken legs. You do
There-
see a wing every so often.
But there's no graveyard there either.
Yeah, no graveyard. And now that whole place is just a giant graveyard with things that should be undead but aren't.
Beyond meat.
Dude.
You filled them with pink gelatinous stuff. Just where my brain went. Interesting fact, that coloring is because of beets.
So what do you guys want to do? If you want, like you've the only thing you've really done with the model is kind of inspect how long it's been there. If you guys want to get into the real kind of nitty gritty of the model itself, you can do investigation checks, or if you want to check the rest of the room, that would be investigation as well. So
I think I'll investigate the rest of the room.
okay,
So I got a 9
9.
with a natural 1.
Oh, even better. It looks vaguely room shaped, but you're not 100% certain. It might be like auditorium shaped, maybe even pool shaped.
I will spend my time investigating the walls.
Looking around the room, I got a 21.
Cool. So the room itself, again, looks like it probably was meant for something slightly different, because this, again, does have a few kind of bookshelves built into the wall. The bookshelves are completely bare. There's nothing stacked on them. Nothing used for them. You can see that there is a lighting fixture here that doesn't look like it's been used in a decent amount of time. And then the rest of the room is meticulously clean. Like the only real kind of dirt or anything in the room is just around this model.
You also notice everyone keeps repurposing rooms?
Yeah.
I guess I'll investigate the model.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
That is an 18.
18. So looking it over, the model itself, again, is relatively impressive. You know, the detail, especially in the kind of lower grounds, is really, really well done. They even have little miniatures that they made of various town folk that the vast majority of them you don't recognize because you guys haven't been here a lot. But you do see one or two that actually looks kind of familiar with people that you remember seeing the last time you passed through. So you can kind of infer that these are not just random humanoid miniatures. These are all based on real people. And as you kind of play around with it a little bit, you realize a few of the buildings are not actually adhered to the surface itself. One of those is the kind of general store that you guys have been in before. And there's a few houses that aren't actually attached to the base of the model.
Can we lift up
Sure.
those?
Which one do you want to lift up?
The one for the general store.
Okay. So as you lift it up, you hear a kind of slight click. And you instantly brace for something bad to happen. Nothing does. And you realize that this piece is supposed to be removable, but they haven't finished carving the kind of latch that kind of clicks into place. And so you have released one of the latches by just picking it up, and the other one just doesn't exist, so there's nothing to really hold it in place. As you lift it up, you can see kind of the inside of the general store, but you also notice in the back there is a hole in the model that seems to go down. And as you look even further, it seems to be that there is a tunnel underneath that currently you can't really see where it goes.
So does that mean there's an actual tunnel in the real world?
You're looking at Henrik Ibsen's Dollhouse.
Do I see any like polyhedral shapes on the table anywhere?
Not that you can see. But if you want to make an investigation check for the table to see if you can, now that you can see the tunnel, if you want to see if there's anything else there, you're welcome to.
Do the buildings look like they were made of dwarvenite?
I don't even know what dwarvenite is.
Dwarven forge.
Oh no, this is all hand carved stuff. It's mostly like polyurethane.
Somebody playing Dungeons and Dragons at this table. 20, I believe 27.
27, cool.
Yes.
Looking at it, you're trying to figure out how you can figure out where this tunnel goes, because all you can see is going down. And so you kind of start putting your finger into it to see if you can kind of trace. And as you're doing that, you feel something kind of rough. And as you go, you feel part of the model shift as you lift. And you realize the base that you guys think is not the actual bottom of this model. And it seems that the whole town should theoretically be able to come off. But the latch that keeps this attached is fully complete, and you don't know where the latching mechanism is.
Which one were you investigating, Vala?
I was investigating the general store.
Okay. Is the model for this house removable?
Good question. The model for this house currently is a box that is very, very kind of roughly carved into a more house-like shape. If you play around with it a little bit, you do feel it kind of jiggle and move, but it's not kind of lifting off or anything like that. So if it is designed to come off, the latches have been actually created for this one.
Okay. The houses to the left and the right of this one, are they removable?
They're not. Well, the one to the right is the mansion that ran away. And so that one's just not attached to anything, and you can actually see there's nothing underneath it. The one to the left of this one is fully attached.
Right.
I think Vala will just start like grabbing at random houses to see.
Yeah, overall, you find a grand total of 3 houses that seem to be kind of removable, plus the general store, plus the mansion that you think is possibly removable, but you can't figure out how to, or you haven't yet figured out how to unlatch it.
All right, so pull those out. Can I shift the table at all? Or does it still seem to be latched down somehow?
Make me a flat intelligence roll.
Ooh, that is a dirty 20.
Okay, so kind of shifting things around, you start to realize where the latches should be by just kind of feeling pressure and stuff as you lift on it. And it takes you the better part of about 10 minutes to actually find each one, and you start realizing that the latches are actually built into the topography. So one of the latches is a fence post on one of the houses that when you kind of mess with it a little bit, it eventually kind of turns and clicks. Another one is a tree that does something similar. And you eventually find 6 of them that you're able to do. And it's a little bit heavy, so you don't think, because there's just not good grips, you're going to be able to lift it yourself. But you happen to have a very strong person next to you. So I'm sure if you ask Argenta, hey, give me a hand.
Argenta, can you give me a hand? I will also use, I think, prestidigitation lets me make little things. I'll make little guitar picks.
Okay.
The iFixit kit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Some little shims to get in there.
You were saying
I'll
something?
help out.
Okay, so yeah, between the two of you, this is This is impressively heavy. As much as it looks like it's built from mostly wood and that, there has to be something in here that is metal or something heavier than wood. Because as you guys finally lift it, as soon as it's out of it, it's really, really heavy. As you move it around, you can see effectively what looks like a second city underneath it that is ruined. There are bits, there are partial walls in various places. You can see the tunnel that you saw coincides with a road in this kind of undercity. And it connects the general store to the mansion you guys are currently in. There's a few other roads that seem to coincide with little tunnels that you guys found in the upper little layer. And you can see underneath the mansion that grew legs and walked away, there's nothing. That whole area just seems completely, not just unfinished, but almost as if someone has kind of erased that part of it or carved it out or something like that.
But there is a tunnel from this mansion down into this undercity. Okay.
Yeah. The makeup of this undercity, it looks like a fully functional city, but it's laid out completely different than Middenwell. There aren't multiple layers to it, where the aristocracy kind of lived above everyone else. This city itself is relatively flat. You can see in the center of town, which is where the general store is, there seems to be what looks like a place of worship. Layout-wise, it's not fully made. It's mostly ruined walls and things like that. But the layout reminds you of a temple, though without some kind of marking or that, you can't really tell to which deity it was dedicated to. But it definitely gives off temple vibes.
All right, so step 1 is find Snake Boy. Step 2, we need to check out this temple.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to do?
We move on to the next room, unless you guys want to do something else.
Follow.
All right, we're going on to the next room then.
Okay. Go ahead, Argenta.
No, I just said yep.
Okay. So as you guys, you're going to stick to the right wall then? Because you guys have been going in the doors on the right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you go into the third room, and as you enter, you're a little bit surprised. Another table. This one is a very small table, and there's a pair of pretty elaborate chairs, almost throne-like. And in the center is a crystalline carved chess set. Extravagantly done. It looks like the chess pieces are carved out of precious gems. One side is carved from precious gems. The other side is created from precious metals. So gold, platinum, silver, electrum for the various pieces. The other side is rubies and emeralds. The king is, as far as you can tell, it looks like the king might be made out of diamond. And it is mid-game.
Val will go over and make a play.
Sure. What is there a particular? Do you want to be gems or metals?
Metals.
Okay. Is there a particular piece you would like to move? Right now, what it looks like, as far as the board layout, metals is down 3 pawns, a bishop, and a knight, and the emerald side is missing their queen, a rook, and 4 pawns. And don't ask me to describe the board positions because I don't know chess well enough to do that.
Right. I would say she would try to make some kind of a move that would open her king up.
Okay. So as you move, as you do a queenside castle, which kind of abandons your king, nothing happens.
If I hear the word Jumanji, I'm leaving.
You are relatively certain that was a poor move.
I used to play Jumanji with all of my siblings.
Yeah. If
Canonically.
only more of them had survived. So, yeah, it as far as you can tell, there doesn't seem, other than the fact that this is exorbitantly expensive, like insultingly lavish expense. This is something that even in your previous house you would find tacky. Which
Bala opens up her bag
okay.
and just
Yeah.
dumps.
A kind of brief internal calculation. You think you probably have 2,000 or 3,000 platinum worth of stuff. Like this is obscenely extravagant. The chessboard itself seems to be carved from marble and is attached to the table, which is attached to the floor.
All right.
So are you taking just the chess pieces, or are you gonna like?
Well, I mean, I'm sure. Like, I dumped the chess pieces in, and then I went back for the board and went, "No, that appears to not be coming with me." So
It's pretty. It's just also pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And the door into this place is right next to the kind of wall of vegetation, so you guys would have been close enough to be able to tell that the trees don't look like they're trying to kill you, as far as you can tell.
So that's the only things in this room. Is just
the chessboard. There's not even bookshelves built into the walls or anything. It's kind of a boring room with a chessboard in it.
Is there anything I would be able to tell based on my previous history with torturing people about these chairs?
Absolutely. You wouldn't use these chairs to torture people. It would be a waste of good chairs.
Unless you're the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, even that. Like
Comfy
this,
chair.
the
Chairs.
the upholstery, like it's satin upholstery and carved wood. It's got kind of gold highlights inlaid in the wood and that. Like, they're really pretty chairs.
Oh, are these the chairs you're not supposed to sit in?
No,
Who knows?
Is there like any like other tables in here? Like if
Nope.
if two people were sitting in here playing chess, like where would they set their drinks?
Looks like snacks was not a factor in building this.
So we know whoever was playing here was not real gamers.
Absolutely. This is for poser gamers. They just wanted people to think they could play chess. Everybody
There's
knows
not-
when you really play chess, you've got a cheesesteak in one hand and a giant big gulp in the other.
Is there there's not is it like one of those clocks too, or just the board?
No clock.
Okay.
No speed chess.
All right, I think we have to go check out the other side of the hallway.
It sucks that there were no pieces on the board, because this probably was a pretty cool chess set. Right, Vala? There was no pieces on the board when you came in.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
No, there were no pieces.
So
It's weird that
I
there
thought
was no pieces.
for a second I thought you were throwing shade at like you fucked up my clue I gave you.
Right, I'm like, wait a minute.
Didn't I just
No, I
steal
tried
like
to be
3,000,
with-
like 30,000 gold worth of stuff?
How many?
Well,
Is it
2,000
3,000?
to 3,000 platinum turns into
Oh, platinum.
20 to 30,000 gold.
Holy shit!
Again, you lived in the lap of luxury, and even you would go, okay, someone's compensating for something.
I mean, I don't know what I would do with any of this money, but
Well, there's been lots of chances for you guys to buy. Oh wait,
when this ends, I'm gonna open my own club.
Nobody plays chess like me. I'm a fantastic chess player. Best chess player ever.
so you come out of the room. You have not checked the the two doors on the left side and whatever is further east.
All right. I will check L1, please.
L1, cool. So you go back to the beginning of the hallway, go in there. Very nice library. Looking through the books and things like that, most of the books are fiction, a decent amount of romance. Other ones are like kind of myths and legends and things like that. But this is obviously a kind of recreational style of a library. This is not like a law library or something like that. And darted around the room are various chairs and love seats and things like that. There is a window seat at the very bottom, and the wall that faces the outside is a very large multi-paned window that overlooks the garden and has a window seat there.
I will go to the window and look out over the garden. Do I notice anything?
The garden's still overgrown. You can't see the kind of rotting plant that you guys discovered because it's too far away. But you think when things were tamed and everything like that, this is probably a really picturesque place. Because not only would you be able to see the garden, but when things weren't overgrown, you could also kind of look down on the town itself and see some of the stuff going on there. So, very nice kind of picturesque place.
This is a mansion. Roland's got to check out the bookcases.
Looking through them again, the books themselves, you do notice the fact that none of these seem like, for lack of a better term, show books. Like all of them show signs of wear from being read. Like you can see some of the gold. What do you call it? The thing that makes book edges gold. Some of that is faded off from people like thumbing through the pages. Some of the pages have been like dog-eared and things like that. Like this library has actually been used.
They dog-eared the pages of the books.
I know.
Burning them is too good.
They deserved everything. They were turned into zombies and then again turned into those weird snake things. Everything goes back to the other room, sets the things on fire. You monsters. Anything else you want to do in the library?
Well, Roland's actually he's investigating the bookshelves themselves. It's like everything else here has had like secret rooms and shit.
Yes.
We've had secret paintings and everything else.
As far as you can tell, like this just seems to be a very functioning library. Like even the little kind of ladder things that they have on either side, so you can get to higher bookshelves, are just work. They're a little bit in disrepair because they haven't been used in a while. But as far as you can tell, there's nothing secretive in this room. It's just a nice library.
I know this isn't Call of Cthulhu. Is there a roll top desk?
Unfortunately not.
There's always a roll top desk. It's only that system apparently.
Yeah, it's only Call of Cthulhu. Any other system, it's actually that's a what do they call it? That's intellectual property of Call of Cthulhu is roll top desks. Even if you have one in real life, you have to pay the dude that wrote Call of Cthulhu that I can't remember his name right now.
H.P. Lovecraft?
Yeah, you have to actually pay the estate of H.P. Lovecraft to have a roll top desk. It's part of their intellectual property. So, last room. Okay.
Last room.
Yep.
As you go into this room, the first thing that you notice is the smell. It smells kind of old, and there's this very strange stench to it. It's not something decaying or something like that, but it definitely is unpleasant. And as you look around, you can see kind of the ceilings themselves have yellowed areas on them. You can see a bunch of very large kind of armchairs with side tables around them, kind of arranged in a circular formation. It's fairly obvious to you this is a kind of smoking room, and they used it a lot. The stains from whatever they were smoking have damaged the ceiling impressively. The walls themselves, there's tapestries and stuff on the walls. They just exude this scent of like old cigar smoke.
Is there like any books or papers or any desk, anything could be gone through, or
Surprisingly enough, there's nothing in here aside from the chairs. There are places where you think there should have been things, but this it almost looks like this room has been picked clean.
I was curious. Does it look like this was just used for just a smoking room of tobacco, or because sometimes
there's no hookahs or anything, or anything of that nature. Whatever they would have smoked in here would have need to be brung in with them. There were no
ritualistic. I was also wondering, but that as well.
Yeah, no incense burners or anything like that. And this one also has a window, but it's kind of covered in kind of a yellow grime.
This is a smoking room. Is there a humidor? The walking kind?
Good question. Again, looking around, you kind of look the most likely places where it should have been, and you find a space that, if there was a humidor, that's probably where it was, but there's nothing there now. It's, again, the room kind of looks like it was picked clean.
Oh, so there's like a vacant space where...
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as you can tell, anything that would be kind of remotely valuable seems to have been taken out of the room.
As someone who's walked into a humidor before, they have a very distinct smell, even if they're empty.
Yeah, like you guys can see places where there are kind of marks on the furniture where obviously things used to stand. And with a little bit of inference and stuff, you can see there was probably like a little dry bar in there that had various alcohols and stuff that aren't there anymore. And you can see where the bottles used to be. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a smoking room, but it most definitely has been picked clean.
In regards to being used, as you said, empty bottles are empty. Does it look like...
There's no bottles. You can see the marks of where the bottles would have been. But... yeah, no actual bottles or anything.
So emptied and gone. So this place doesn't look like someone had a rager or anything. It's like it's been heavily used, but then also...
yeah, quite literally, the term picked clean. Like, there's nothing in here that would be valuable, and it wasn't... like, the room is not ransacked. Like, everything is in its proper place, but the only stuff left here is stuff that's either too big to leave comfortably, or doesn't really have any value.
Yeah, I got nothing.
They heavily used everything and then took everything.
Right. I mean, this part of the house seems... 3 of these rooms seem very recreation. Well, the map room could also be somebody's hobby.
But most of the rooms are either fell into complete disrepair or then became repurposed. Like, food storage was completely... it was borderline compost or left for animals. But meanwhile, we have other rooms that were, like, suddenly turned to storage, and everything else was used to for some other reason.
Yeah, I don't know. So the only other thing in this hallway is the overgrown section where the plants are, correct?
Yepers.
Do we wanna
Just for
check?
also, do we also want to check for like, because are we still checking for like hidden rooms?
I think so.
Yeah, if you guys would like to just investigation check.
Sure.
Where did you get Artinta?
19.
Okay.
21.
Right, cool. So between the three of you, kind of going through each room and kind of rechecking everything, the one thing that you find is in the map room. One of the bookcases has a secret panel in the back that as you open it up, you can see wood carving tools and a few painting supplies in there. And it's a really, really well disguised hidden panel. That's why you guys haven't discovered it before then. The rest of the rooms, it's kind of annoying how little there is in there to look for secret passages, because the rest of this house seems to be just nuts as far as secret passages and things that are different. And for whatever reason, other than this hidden panel, there's nothing in here. It's almost as like this
Does
was
it
built
look like
by
that?
a different person or something.
Does it look like that hidden panel thing was actually intended for that, or was it intended for something else?
Oh, absolutely not. They do not fit in there particularly well.
Okay.
If you had to guess, more likely than not, that was meant to, like, you could see someone using that for like cooked books, or something similar to that, where you had secret files that you didn't want people finding out about. You think that's probably what that hidden thing was for. Most definitely, it wasn't for wood carving tools and other things like that. Like it's book shaped. So where do you guys want to go?
Do we want to try to make a hole through the plants and see what's down that way, or
Does the overgrown plants? Is it just they're completely is it like just blocking the doorway?
Yeah, as far as you can tell, you're not sure if there's a door there that they've overgrown or it's just an open area, but it's basically solid leaves and vines and things like that that have blocked all light and anything coming from that side. You guys really haven't probed it too much, so you don't know how solid they are.
I know I don't have nature per se, but I am trained in herbalism. Can I tell can I tell from this plant matter that if it's particularly nasty to touch?
Sure, I think that might be an herbalism kind of thing. I'm still going to have you roll nature for it, but I'll give you advantage
Okay.
because I don't think there's an herbalism skill, right? I'm not.
Well, it was a
misremembering.
toolkit. I did actually put in the toolkit just in
Yeah,
case.
I'll say you. It's still going to be a nature roll, but it would be made with
Okay.
advantage.
Okay. Nature roll advantage. 12.
12. As far as you can tell, the particular leaves that you're looking at here, for lack of a better term, look like houseplants.
The interesting fact was houseplants wouldn't normally houseplants die after they overgrow.
Absolutely. These seem to have thrived.
I mean, we could always just try cutting into it first.
It's up to you guys.
Rowan looks to Vala, because if we set fire to it, then other things might catch fire too.
Yeah.
And we don't want that.
Yet.
So what are you guys doing?
Vala will pull out her silvered rapier and start hacking away at the plants.
Okay. You notice that it's almost like a kind of vine curtain. There's not a lot of thickness to it, but the plants themselves are remarkably resilient. As you kind of hack at them with your silvered rapier, you're not really doing damage to them. You're scratching, like they're very waxy and tough, almost like leather. But as you kind of hack at them, you see that they move enough that you think you guys can kind of move your way like through a beaded curtain if you want to. But hacking it down is probably going to take something with a bit more of an edge and some weight behind it than a rapier.
All right, I will.
Or fire. I mean, fire is always an option.
I mean,
Can we get through it? Can we get through it?
Yes,
what
as far as you can tell, it looks like it'll be, again, like going through a bead curtain.
Okay. That's good. That's good enough.
I will use Mage Hand to pull one side of them, or to pull them to one side, and then use the rapier on the other
Okay.
to make a path we can walk through.
All right. So you guys come into what looks like a greenhouse style room. The plant life here is overgrown is an understatement. It has climbed up every wall. The only reason you can tell that it's a greenhouse is every so often you will see bits of light peeking through the glass. But it is overgrown. The roots themselves have not just grown out of their pots, they have grown into the tables that they were set on, into the ground. You can see that the foundation in this room has been ripped up and damaged by roots just growing through it. And with your herbalism proficiency, looking around, you actually recognize herbs and things like that normally be very nice to have in growing on your own. But whatever has happened to this room has changed. Like the sage is significantly larger leaves than you're used to seeing. They again have that weird waxy feeling to them, and the stems and everything are just massive. This is like steroid infused sage and thyme and other things like
Mint
that.
is just out of control in this room.
Yeah. Well, not just just tons of mint. You're sitting here going, oh, so this is what spearmint means. As the mint plant has actually grown through the wall and split some of the wall with its.
Well, mint is one of those plants that if you don't watch it, they will overtake.
Yeah. So it's just, again, the whole room is not just overgrown. Like the plants themselves are bigger than they should be, are significantly tougher than they should be. Everything about this defies horticulture.
As Rowan's examining this, and he's pointing this out, so much like up the garden, which we all agree smelled awful, but in this room, this is intensified growth. Left to their own devices, this room should be desiccated. But meanwhile, the rest of this village can barely grow anything. Barely viable is the best course for like people trying to grow an onion here. But meanwhile, this mansion, there's a very lush, questionable garden, and this greenhouse room has overtaken. Plants have claimed this room.
Argenta being a ranger and also trained in nature, could she like examine the soil or anything in this room to try and find a natural reason as to why that might be, even if it's like natural as in like something's been added, something weird's been added or whatever.
Absolutely. Go ahead and make me nature check with advantage.
All right. 22.
22. So, looking around, as much as the growth itself seems kind of chaotic and random, the more you look at it, the more you notice that it seems to be radiating from a single point. And the plant that's at the center of that point is that kind of mutant mint that Relwyn found. And it seems that, as far as you can tell, it seems that that was the first plant to kind of grow much larger and faster than it should. And then you can see its roots kind of going into the pots and things of other plants. And it's obvious that that root growth is older than the other root growth. So it seems that everything started with this one plant. And you'd also notice that none of the plants go past the curtain of vines and everything. They will grow up to that point, but that's where everything stops.
Also,
Right.
no plant seems to be able to grow beyond the room.
No plant seems to be able to grow into the rest of the mansion. They are growing out of the room, like they've grown through the walls. And so they've actually gone slightly into like the garden and stuff like that. But it stops before it gets into the rest of the mansion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so our Gems is going to point that out. And then she's also just going to point out, I think this overgrowth began with that and just points at the mint at the center.
That's ironic.
Hmm.
Can someone talk to plants?
I can, but I'm out of those spell slots.
Brushing up on my Schwarzenegger accent.
Don't is this like just a normal mint plant, or is it something that's like not seen before?
It resembles and it smells like extremely strong mint. But again, the stems are too thick. The leaves themselves have kind of a waxy finish to them. So it looks like a supersized mint plant.
Fuck it. She's just gonna kind of pull it out.
Okay, make me an athletics check with disadvantage.
And so first roll is a nat 20. The second roll is an 8, but that's a 23.
Okay, of course it is. So as you sit there and kind of put your hands on the stem itself and try and get near the base to pull it out, as you start pulling, you feel like you're pulling like a ship anchor out of the sea. Like you're sitting here and it's just nothing is happening. And as you pull more, the scent of mint starts getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and I'd like you to make a Constitution saving throw. Another thing that I know barbarians are just horrible at.
29.
29. You firmly believe that you may never have sinus problems again. And you feel a little bit lightheaded because the scent of mint has gotten painfully strong. But you don't feel that it's doing you any damage, other than you're not sure you're ever going to be able to smell anything other than mint again. And the more you pull on this, the stronger the scent, to the point where the rest of you are starting to feel a little bit lightheaded. And as you eventually just kind of stop to kind of re-get your grip, you notice that your hands are covered in a like sap-like substance, like extreme. I don't know if you've ever like gotten like pine sap on your hands.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's just that weird, like hyper sticky, almost second skin kind of feeling to it. Uh, and as you watch as it slowly fades away as it looks like it's starting to get absorbed into your skin.
Rel was about to examine for in case there was allergic reaction. I'm thinking, oh, that might not. Oh, that might not be good.
She'll pull out her water skin to try and wash it off quickly.
It is completely unaffected by water. And at this point, probably about 30% of the sap substance has kind of absorbed into your skin.
I'll rub my hands on the wall.
Okay. As you do that, your hands get stuck to the wall. And with your kind of prodigious strength, you're able to kind of pull them, and you pull bits of the wall off with you. And you can see that the sap is still kind of absorbing into your skin. At this point, you're closer to about 45-50% of it absorbed in.
Can I use prestidigitation to remove some of the sap?
Sure. Just make me a spell attack roll with disadvantage.
Math 18.
18. So, as you sit there and you try and kind of prestidigitate it away, the first thing that you notice is you're having a hard time kind of focusing the spell on the sap itself. For whatever reason, as you're trying to cast it, you're not really able to differentiate between the sap and Argenta. And as you focus harder, you realize that there is an arcane element in this sap, and you think prestidigitation is not going to be able to affect it because it's effectively magic sap. And prestidigitation is really just designed for mundane, non-magical cleaning.
Because Rowan does know herbalism. Like he would ways to remove sap would be like using alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't think there's nail polish remover. I don't know about acetone. It's like, but like Crisco or grease, wherever the equivalent of Crisco would be.
I would assume, because you're also a chef, I would assume you probably have at least some alcohol on you. For cooking purposes, obviously. So if you want to try and use some alcohol on it, you can. Like maybe a wineskin or something like that.
Yeah, I figure something equivalent of either way of that.
Sure. As you pour it on Argentus's hands, which are now about 70% of it in, you do notice that wherever the wine kind of hits, seems to slightly kind of stick to the sap. But it looks like if you want to get it off, you're going to need like a basin or something to kind of soak it in to remove the remaining sap. Of which there are many containers around you that would hold
there's
water.
something we could use.
So if you do that, and Argenta gets in there, you basically, after scrubbing for long enough, you get these kind of weird, like second skin pieces of this sap that pulls off in big long strips in that, and kind of just hardens in in the wine to create almost like a thick rubber glove kind of consistency.
I also want to check over Argenta's hands to make sure how Argenta's
The places where it absorbed into her skin are starting to form calluses.
Does it feel normal still?
It feels like calloused hands. I mean, you probably already have some calluses on your hands just from being a barbarian.
Well, yeah.
But it doesn't feel any different. Your hands are kind of tingly at the moment.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm not going to change that at the exact moment. So, if Plan A didn't work, what are the mints growing in? Is it like pots? Are they growing in the ground of the basement?
It was a pot.
It broke out and overtook.
Yeah, it
the floor.
the roots themselves go through the table that it was on, go into the ground, and go relatively deep. They also go through the back wall and go into the ground outside.
What is the ground made of in here?
Here it's a wooden floor, and as far as you can see underneath it, there's a cavity for the foundation, and then dirt beneath that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna be able to mold earth that out. I mean, the only other thing that I see is burn it down as we leave.
It looks like a
Ro-
puppy that you just pulled out the chew toy for.
I'm very concerned with how this is working out, that maybe if we set this on fire, it will be too effective.
I'm sorry. Too effective?
You know as well as I do what the equivalent of a Roman candle is, Bala.
Right. You're saying it as if that isn't like the goal. That's the dream.
Not while we're in it.
I mean, yes, you make some points.
Also, I don't want to be anywhere near this room if those plants catch on fire.
Right. Give me about 11 minutes. Vala will cast Identify on probably the big mint plant.
Okay.
Although, given recent events, I'm going to try to find a non-sappy part to touch.
Okay. So, taking the time to perform the full ritual and figure out what this is. You realize I have to look for something. So, identifying the plant doesn't work the way that you think it should. Normally, what you would kind of expect is you would identify something that has a magical effect on it, and you would learn what spell is affecting it or something like that. That's not what you get. The information that comes to you is effectively what you have just identified is what's called a potion of giant size.
Guys, there's something in the water. Or something. I think this plant has been affected by a potion of giant size.
So if you'd like to know, I'll post the full description in chat, but I will also read it. So that's it in chat. But when you drink this potion, you become huge for 24 hours if you're medium or smaller. Otherwise, the potion does nothing. For that duration, your strength becomes 25 if it isn't already higher, and your hit point maximum is doubled. Your current hit points are doubled when you drink the potion. In addition, the reach of your melee attacks increased by 5 feet. Everything you are carrying and wearing also increases in size for the duration. When rolling damage for weapons enlarged in this manner, roll 3 times the normal number of dice. When the effect ends, any hit points you have above your hit point maximum become temporary hit points.
I almost want Argenta to try to punch me. But I think that's probably a really bad idea given our current situation.
You remember the door.
I remember the door. Argenta with even more strength.
What was that? Was that scene Malcolm in the middle? Reese, I need you to punch me.
No.
Argenta, do you feel stronger?
Do I feel stronger, Jody?
Not at all. In fact, you're having a hard time using the articulation that you're used to having in your hands. Like the muscles feel a little bit stiff and clunky.
Hmm.
No, I think I need to actually work sap out of my system.
We
Does Rowan, does he get the sense that maybe this has been the plants themselves have actually been turned out chemical? Like instead of you using them to make alchemy, the plants have become alchemy.
Not as far as you can tell. Like the information that Vala was able to get from the identify spell, she literally identified a potion of giant size when she touched that. So logically, somewhere inside this plant is a potion of giant size that has somehow merged with the plant. Beyond that, you got no idea.
I see.
And you're, again, the way that the potion is supposed to work, if you
Also
are
supposed to be
medium or
temporary.
smaller, otherwise the potion does nothing. So if you were to pour a potion of giant size on a tree, wouldn't turn into a super buff tree. It's not a humanoid that's medium or smaller. It would have no effect on it. So whatever happened here is a little bit more complicated than somebody spilt a potion.
And potion has a pungent aroma akin to that of rotting algae, but it tastes sweet.
And you guys don't smell rotting algae at all in here. If any of you would like to taste the mint, you are more than welcome to.
Vala starts leaning in. Wait, no, not again.
We were given 2 eyes and only 1 tongue, meaning we should look before we taste.
So we look twice and we lick once.
But we have so many touch sensors.
I've got so many touch sticks.
Technically, I have multiple taste buds. This is all breaking down.
So that was the end of Vala. You've got another character, right? Because you've just turned into a super buff tree.
I'm reminded of Viva La Dirt League. They keep having people turn into mushrooms.
Oh yeah. People just keep like, I'm gonna eat it. All right, cool, great. You're a mushroom now. Can you? It's, why is this a thing in the game?
Could try casting Identify on Argenta.
Oh, that's true.
Just don't know if that's gonna take too long.
And I'm up for it.
But I will start casting it until it gets interrupted.
Okay.
Argenta
So
turning into
another 11 minutes pass, and Argenta, you start noticing the calluses on your hand are becoming extremely rough and bark-like.
Okay, Relwyn is going. Does it look like I need to do something to intervene with this now? Like under the effect, do I get the sense that using a dispel magic might actually work on? That would make this inert because we have ascertained that the sap is magical.
I'll let you choose Arcana or Nature, but make me a roll from one of those two.
Okay, so not that isn't great. Three. I'm going to guidance myself because I really need this. I'll go with nature. Oh, it was almost okay. 18 plus. Okay, 18 plus. 18 plus 3, 21.
So looking at what's happening to Argenta, this does not seem magical in nature. Like, it doesn't follow what you would see if she had gotten like a curse or something placed on her. It looks biological, much more akin to a disease than a magic spell. So you don't
Dispel
think,
magic wouldn't work either.
you don't think dispel magic would work, but something that affects diseases might.
Well, I mean, if I have to, let's see. Sorry, I have to remember which spell does which on a disease.
Lesser restoration or 5 points of a paladin's lay on hands.
One disease. Okay, so yeah, so I'll try. Yeah, so I'll do lesser restoration.
Okay. As you kind of focus the healing power from your tabard into your hands and then kind of infuse them into Argenta. Argenta, you feel the kind of bits of bark that are now growing out of your hand just kind of slough off, like scales being removed from a fish. And your hands start working much better than they were previously.
Huh.
You still have some calluses, but you think they were there before.
Yeah. So it causes a disease. It's fascinating.
Diseases are vastly underutilized in 5th edition. Mostly because there's so many ways to get rid of them at low levels, but they're very cool.
That's what happens if you get the sap on your hands. You still haven't tested what happens if you drink it.
I don't think anything could.
I would
Probably not.
never want to drink pine sap. That would be so disgusting.
Syrup.
First, I'm gonna pull an Adam West Batman. I'm gonna drink a lot of buttermilk.
Okay.
All right, so Argenta's not going to turn into a tree.
Tree Berrien would be very cool. And I mean, don't rangers want to become one with nature? Like, that would totally be end goal. And are you a totem barbarian? Because you were literally turning into a totem. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, what are we doing?
It's a really nice plant in front of you. It's very minty.
There are more rooms to this mansion if you want to examine.
We still don't know what's... Oh.
Yes, it's a mystery, and I don't know if we since we don't know, do we want to uncover the mystery of the magic plant room? I understand if we want to.
All right, let's go check out one of the other rooms, I guess.
Okay. So as you guys kind of leave through the leaf curtain, the one thing that kind of sticks out to you, Argenta, is even after leaving the room, you smell mint.
I was curious about, do I get the sense that was like a, because some plants do have a self-defense mechanism when you mess with them.
Mm-hmm. You're not 100% certain. Again, that's not how mint works.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form. So, as far as you know, that is a unique aspect to that particular plant. And if you want to go back in and study it for a few hours, you're more than welcome to. There's definitely not another person in the mansion that tried to drop corpse snakes on you.
Gremlins will go like, well, if you want to investigate there, just for safety's sake, please don't just avoid touching your eyes.
Or anything
What did I
else.
just say,
No.
Daniel? What did I just say?
Sorry.
So
I know that was involuntary. That was still just perfect timing.
So you've explored the entirety of this floor of the West Wing.
All right, let's go up to the second floor.
Didn't find the president.
Mm.
It's the West Wing. I thought it was funny. Second or third floor, or do you guys want to go looking for the dude in the East Wing?
He could be anywhere, but if you want to go to the East Wing, sure. I mean, if you want to do that.
Do you guys?
I feel like we've given him an hour by now, but I mean, I feel like we've already explored that part of the mansion, and if he was hiding out, I don't know.
Granted, he could be anywhere, but yeah. But have we been to the East Wing?
You have, there's 3 floors and it's separated into 2 wings. You have explored the first, second, and third floor of the East Wing basically completely.
Okay.
The West Wing, you've explored the first floor.
Okay.
So the second and the third floor have not been done as of yet.
It's also possible, considering the construction of the house, they could also literally be anywhere, depending on what they've utilized.
Yeah.
Another level?
Try second floor, I guess.
Okay. So as you guys go up to the second floor and enter into the East Wing from there, unlike the other doors off of this main foyer that you've gone into that immediately go into a hallway, this immediately opens up into a very large room. The ceilings are higher than you were suspecting. It actually has kind of a tiered layout slightly. And there is a stage at the kind of bottom. This is very clearly some sort of like amphitheater or just like a performance room. And you can see what looks like a harpsichord on stage. What do you want to do?
Vala will go up onto the stage and check the harpsichord and see how the acoustics are in this room.
As you kind of look at the harpsichord, you're a little bit afraid to play it because it is kind of so so in disrepair that you're worrying that plucking the strings might cause one or more of them to snap. But other than the disrepair for the harpsichord, it's mostly intact. Like, give someone probably like 8 to 16 hours with it to kind of possibly restring it, or at least go and make sure that the strings are in nice order. And it would probably play very well.
And this is a typical harp, so this is a somewhat relatively small for a harpsichord, right? As a harpsichord goes, it's small, right?
I mean, harpsichords are not massive. I mean, it's the equivalent side of like an upright piano, size-wise.
Okay.
So it's not like the largest harpsichord that's ever existed, but it's not small by any means. I guess I'll put it that way.
All right, I'll just uh, belt out a few notes.
Yeah,
See
or I
what
guess
the
it's
acoustics are in the room then.
harpsichords are closer to like grand piano size, so this would be like a mini grand.
Oh. Yeah, I guess the more lavish ones would be slightly larger.
Yeah. So definitely, harpsichords in general are not cheap instruments.
Yeah.
So definitely, and you can see that this probably was like there's gold inlaid in the key covers and stuff like that, and like it's a very nice. It just hasn't been used in so long, and keeping strings under extreme tension for that long causes damage.
Noticing that this place is missing fixtures. Did it look like they tried to like? Because sometimes people even take gilding off.
Mm-hmm. As far as you can tell, nobody seems to have touched the harpsichord. As to be perfectly honest, as you guys come into this room, like the door itself was a bit stiff when you came in. It seems like even compared to the other rooms that have been like not touched, for whatever reason, this room has not been in. No one has been in this room longer than, as far as you can tell, any other room in the house. So while the rest of the house looks like it's been abandoned for maybe a few years, this might have been untouched for a decade.
Hmm.
What do you all want to do?
We got
Has this room been cleared out like the other rooms?
No, it looks, as far as you can tell, relatively functional. There's a music stand on the stage where if someone was performing like a vocalist or something, it would indicate a vocalist was supposed to stand
Does
there.
it look like anything had ever been hanging on the walls, decoration?
There's tapestries and other the things like that to kind of deaden the sound of the room, so it's not like super echoey. And they seem relatively intact. Like the room itself looks completely untouched. There are chairs exactly where they're meant to be. They're all covered in dust and cobwebs.
So many other rooms have been repurposed, and they didn't do it to this one.
hard to repurpose an amphitheater though.
They're perfectly fine with using other rooms for storage and turning one into a model room. And
If anyone would like to make me an investigation check, there are some like cabinets on the back wall.
I just got a 14.
14. That's enough. So looking around, Argenta, you would probably, or not Argenta, I'm sorry, Vala, you would be the one that would probably recognize this most easily. As you open it up, you see kind of stacks of paper in various places, and the writing on it is incredibly faint. But this is sheet music, and a lot of sheet music. And with your background in music and performance and things like that, the thing that you notice about these are originals. Like these are not copies. These are all custom written pieces. They seem to be mostly for voice with harpsichord accompaniment, and then there's a few that are string quartets and other things like that. But this is all custom written stuff, and you can tell by like you could see the corrections on there as someone was writing it and went, I don't like that note, or let's change the dynamics here, or things like that. So
if Rowan sees Vala with the sheet music, I think the only thing Rowan would ask is like, is any good?
Theme any good?
It's so faded that it's hard to get a decent idea of what the melody would sound like, because you're missing entire measures in some places. But from what you can tell, like, the person that wrote this was very comfortable writing music. So you would assume it was probably decent, because you wouldn't write that much music if you were bad. And the kind of comfort and I can't think of the word right now. The notation that they use a lot of kind of shortcut notation that you really only learn after you've been writing music for a long time.
So, I could tell whoever did this, it was important to them, I believe. They did a lot of it.
Yeah.
They hadn't done it in a while.
Yep.
Maybe that's why this room hasn't been altered like the others. I don't know.
Rowan is curious in regards to the placement of the room. We may not even be there yet or not. In relation to the desecrated room,
Mm-hmm.
are we above that yet?
Opposite side. That's east.
Oh, that's on the
wing.
east side.
Yeah,
East
you're
wing.
in the
Okay.
you're in the west.
Now, do we want to try anything else here? Or do we move on to the next floor? Do I see a name on any of the sheets of music or no?
Yeah, you see, going through the various ones, you can see that a lot of them are not signed, which is another kind of indication of either rough drafts or originals, because they just haven't gotten it to a publishable point. But you do eventually find a few with a name of a composer that goes by the name Henry Mancini. No. Harold Benign is the composer's name, which you would recognize the name, not because you've heard any of their pieces, but because nobles that you interacted with when they were talking about fine music and the things like that would mention, oh, yeah, this may be the next Harold Benign. So it was a name that was considered to be quite prolific in the art, but had not written or published anything in decades.
I will pass that along to everyone. I've heard that name before.
And as you look through, you do find one piece that is unfinished, with a title the title being For My Lost Love.
Sorry, was it My Lost Love or I?
For My Lost Love.
I'm going to keep that.
Okay.
And you said Harold Benign, For My Lost Love.
Mm-hmm.
Rowan will ask, well, does it say what it's about, or is it just music?
Are there lyrics or no?
It's an instrumental piece.
No, it's just instrumental.
Hey, could you play it on your flute dagger?
It's a harpsichord piece, so playing it on a woodwind would be difficult.
Okay.
But had you a working harpsichord, you could probably thumb your way through it. Again, there are bits of it missing from faded ink and stuff like that.
Let me see. If you open up the harpsichord, how bad is it?
But without experience with a harpsichord, you've got no idea.
Vala, how bad is it?
It's sketchy. You could lose a finger trying to play it.
Are we talking like, are all the strings attached here and they're just
The
damaged?
the strings are attached. It's just like there's a lot of pent up kinetic energy being held in there, and if one of those comes loose, it could be catastrophic.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. A harpsichord is not like a piano, right?
I mean, it's very similar. The difference between piano and harpsichord is harpsichord plucks the strings, so piano hits them with a hammer. But they're same basic design. Like a harpsichord looks remarkably similar to a piano. Like I said, the only difference is they pluck the strings instead of they hit it with a hammer. So
I'm just wondering if a mending spell on the strings would.
you could there a normal piano has 88 keys, which each correspond to on a piano there are 3 strings for each key. So 88 times 3. Harpsichord, I believe there's only 1 string, though it's been a long time since I've studied harpsichord. But you're still talking about 88 separate things that would each take a minute casting of mending.
It's
So, yes, you do think it would probably be very beneficial to it. We're talking about hour and a half of work to do that.
I just say, I mean, it'd take me an hour and a half roughly looking at all these strings, but I could get it in playable order.
I mean, look, I'm a big Harold Benign fan as much as everybody else. I would love to hear this, but I don't know that now is the right time.
It's never the wrong time to expand your love of music.
I think this is hitting differently for Rowan because Rowan's, as coming from where he comes from, you survive by keeping quiet. I don't know if he's ever even listened to music really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially in Meisenford, you because of what happened outside the city walls, like you guys probably didn't even do hymns or like for my Catholic friends used to refer to like high mass as smells and bells, because they would have a big incense thing that they would walk through and kind of that, and then you'd also have these bells and stuff. None of that stuff happened in Meisenford. You kept quiet. So what do you guys want to do?
Say
There's
we move on to
one more area you haven't explored yet.
I say we move on to the last area.
Let's check it out.
So as you guys go up to the third floor, you guys find effectively the owner's suite. There's a bunch of rooms. You can tell one is obviously a kid's room that has 2 beds in it. Another one, as you kind of go. I'm sure there's some more. There's another door that is locked that goes to another room, and then you get into the master suite, and you can see kind of a stain on the wall from where a portrait used to be hanging.
Oh,
but
the
is no
vacancy.
longer. Yeah. And yeah, like it's a really extravagant suite. Like there's a little kind of like parlor in it, and like I said, you can go really everywhere in it except this one room that the door itself is locked.
Was Lillian the one who could pick locks?
The
Yeah,
door is locked.
Yeah.
No,
I'll
Lillian,
get down.
Okay. Make me an athletics check.
This is what happens when Lillian is gone. The doors die. It should be incentive for Lillian to be here.
Argenta picks the lock with her fist.
Rowan's Rowan will point out, there have been traps.
32.
32. The door does not exist anymore. As you disintegrate,
Rowan does
the
take
door,
cover.
as you disintegrate the door itself was not that super kind of heavy duty door that you guys dealt with before. This is a very decorative door. You realize after you kick through it that it probably didn't need a whole lot of force to be able to open it. But I mean, when you have that much force, why the hell would you use all of it? And afterwards, you do a little Tim Allen style.
It just screams maximum effort.
As the dust settles, you can see a room that is very feminine in its appearance. You can see there's what do you call it, with a mirror and a kind of a makeup station kind of
Oh,
vanity. There we
vanity.
go. There's
Yeah.
a vanity in one side. You can see there's a little bench that also has a writing table next to it. There's a walk-in closet in here with just tons of these beautiful gowns and other things, or at least they were beautiful probably 10, 15, 20 years ago. Now they're all kind of moth-eaten and destroyed. But definitely kind of like a her cave kind of thing.
Is it a bedroom or just more of like a space?
It's not a bedroom. This is more of just a space, probably for like the lady of the house to have as her.
Gotcha.
You can see there's a servant's entrance for possibly like maybe a hairdresser or something, so they can come directly into the room, do what they need to, and then directly leave without having to go through the rest of the master suite.
Gotcha.
And like the auditorium, this room looks like it hasn't been touched in decades.
Relwyn will ask, he's like, I don't know music or anything. I don't know. Did Argenta also notice the name, or just Vala?
I don't think Argenta would have noticed the name at all.
So Rowan will ask Vala, did this Harold Benign? I take it seemed to be a celebrity in some circles.
Who was well known for his music.
Rowan's okay. And it goes, were there ever stories of his spouse, love?
Have I heard any of those stories?
You are
Could I
familiar
make a
with
history
the
check?
name. If you could find history books or someone that would actually know music history, you might be able to find more. You at most have heard the name as a reference. So that's all you really know, is that people would compare people to Harold Benign in the same way that, oh, you're the next Tom Cruise, or oh, you know, you're the next Beyonce. You know, same basic principle that people would use it as a reference for someone that was extremely talented or skilled. But that was all. You never thought to ask. Most of these things where you were kind of brushing shoulders with the aristocracy, you were not particularly fond of being at anyways. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never got the full story. I think I was just too afraid to ask. Like, oh yeah, of course I know about Harold Benign.
Yeah, I was much more into Jeremy Malignant. No, I'm kidding.
I had a name, it completely went away. So it was like Benign Harold. Harold's a fancy name, right? Harry B. That's his name. And
All
this
right,
is
so
Greg Headache, and
It's interesting that it would take other people who are claiming clearing this place out to. It wouldn't take that much effort to get past some of these.
No, this door specifically wouldn't have been too much of an issue. I mean, look at it. She just kind of looks at the pieces.
what door?
I know. It's just like firewood now. Uh
Sorry, never mind.
but no. Like this room specifically, like that vanity, I would think that it would have been pulled out ages ago if people were looting the place.
Unless Harry Benign was selling things off over time, but wouldn't sell off anything related to his wife or lost love.
I will say the mansion itself, you guys probably would have seen something to indicate the noble family that lived here. Their last name was not Benign. The family here was the house of Courier. Which, Vala, you'd be familiar with. No one had seen them in a while, but they were known. The aristocracy in various cities would know of the aristocracy in other cities. So, Courier was a well-known, very wealthy family.
Okay, so this was not like this was not Benign's house. This was.
Clearly, this house is not Benign.
It's the last time I name anyone for you. He'll just be the composer from now on.
Sorry.
So they were collectors, or so maybe the person who was the composer was a fan, perhaps.
Val, you'd be familiar with patronage systems. The idea of the very wealthy would sometimes have like their own personal composers. So that would kind of be what you would expect here.
Benign was working for Couliers. Sorry.
Cut it out.
You should have.
By the way, it's not Coulier, it's Courier.
Great.
But sure.
I
The doors
don't know.
are made of
I mean, I'm sure at one point this was a full house.
It's about to burn to the ground.
I died.
I think the Beach Boys played here once.
Guys,
Rocks
have
fall,
a-
everybody dies.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jody. Please. Have mercy.
You beat me to it, you bastard.
No.
So, yeah, door was locked. Again, another room that hasn't been touched in significantly longer than the rest of the house. Again, the rest of the house, most of these rooms seem like they've been untouched for like a year or two, maybe.
I'm
This is,
sorry,
like
it
I
just
said-
hit me. The spouse died. Venn diagram. I'm sorry.
There's only 2 kids!
Oh, no.
You guys haven't gone into the room with the crib yet, though. It's just
No.
not intentional, okay?
Oh. Oh no.
With that, unfortunately, that is where we're going to end for tonight because it's getting late. As always, if you
Fucking
missed-
derailed it. Great, just call it here. That's
yeah, we'll pick this up. Maybe we'll have Lily Ann back last time. We'll have somebody with a voice of reason here. As always, if you missed any of this, I do upload all these to our YouTube channels, youtube.com/TraderJody.
Oh god.
Check out cool stuff there. Otherwise, again, it's all for me today. I'll see you guys probably with an entire new cast next time. So, bye-bye.
Tune in for Fuller House.